Welcome, everyone, to Regulated Schools Better Results podcast, formerly known as Beyond Self-Care Basics. How do you retain teachers, get them engaged, and reduce staff absenteeism? Well, you build a school that reduces toxic stress. And I have someone who knows that topic very well, Mr. Derek Cantrell, who's the principal of Alleghany High School in Covington, Virginia. Welcome aboard. Thank you for being here, Derek.
Absolutely. Thank you for the opportunity to share our story and some of the neat things we've done here, consolidating two rival high schools into one building.
I love that. How long have you been a principal?
I'm finishing my 10th year. So I
Wow.
had that 10 years in the classroom before transitioning to the principalship and actually started as a high school principal. So it's kind of unique and been at it for 10 years.
Wow, that's fantastic. As a teacher and an administrator, I know that when I was in college, that we're taught best practices to build a school culture. But the truth is that different schools have different unique personalities and assembly line approach to building a culture. It just doesn't apply. So what I'm going to ask you to do first is describe the ingredients, some of the guidelines in creating a healthy culture that's going to nourish students, and support staff as they provide the best academic experiences.
And I think within our situation, we were bringing two rival high schools together. It's something with consolidation in our area has been talked about for 40 plus years. And a little context, the consolidation was the county schools which surrounded the city school system. So we consolidated those, and both of the high schools came together. The Covington City Schools high school went to the Alleghany building. So we really had to be intentional about making it feel new and welcoming to all kids as they came in the building. And kind of our focus with that was people first, build relationships and culture, and good things will follow. And we knew that people were gonna, people fear that loss of the traditions and pride, and that's usually what comes up in the emotions of the part of it. So we really focused on listening, talking to people. What are you excited about? What are you concerned about? And trying to answer those concerns before we got into the building day one, or put things in place to kind of ease that tension with those. And I really think that once we could answer how we were going to value traditions and things that people felt were going to get left out with the deep pride in their community, that helped a lot. I mean, we have banners in our gym that recognize the district, region, and state championships from both high schools. In our 4 year, we have a Hall of Fame digital display board where you can see the different individuals from both schools. So those were things that really helped. And I really think over communicating really helps a lot too, because if you don't get out in front of a narrative and get that information, it goes in different ways and can create its own agenda and ways. So over communication definitely helps uncertainty and anxiety throughout that process. But we really tried to focus on that and putting people first. And one cool thing I think is we built a culture and communication roadmap
Mm.
early on, so that we made sure that we didn't lose focus of the individuals we had to touch base with before school started, from parents to students to naming coaches to even recognizing when our mascot and our colors were going to be displayed. So real intentional about that communication before you go into the building definitely helps set us up for success.
That communication piece, I think, is really, really important because it allays a lot of fears when you're over explaining, as you mentioned, over communicating, the pathway that we're going to take. And I am sure that the parent community and even the students were probably even polled
Mhm,
at
yeah.
some point to see what are they thinking, what are they feeling, what are their wants, what are their desires. And I'm sure that you probably even took that seriously, chewed on it as you kind of unfolded your plan. Tell me a little bit more about that plan that you put put together a little bit more about the nuts and bolts of it.
Okay, and yes, you as you go through like that roadmap, and uniquely, I was hired in October before the start of August the next year's school year. So I had some time. And then there was a period that you had to wait till assistant principals were hired. And then your staff was in Marchish of the next year with that. So that was unique of you're kind of on your own ship for a little while before you start paddling along. But with that was we wanted to make sure that we connected with our kids, we connected with our parents, we connected with our staff members, and with surveys just to see where what are we excited about, what we're concerned about, so that we can answer those issues. And some things that came from that, I remember sitting in one meeting with the students at Covington High School, and it was a leadership team, and we were talking about something about next year. And one of the juniors who was going to be a senior was like, it's kind of understanding that it's like being a freshman all over again. I've went to high school for 3 years. I'm walking into a new building and a new atmosphere. So from that conversation, we set up some shadowing days where we sent leadership students to AHS, the building that we're at now, that was there for Alleghany. Then they went around with kids, came back and talked to grade levels at the school. And then we also had a family night that we had leadership students take kids and parents around the building in the spring before the next year, just to get it. It's a school. It's, a little longer hallways, a few different nooks and crannies, but that definitely, I think, paid dividends. And simple things like what the parking structure is going to look like for kids as juniors and seniors, and answering that for parents. And a lot of things came throughout that really, I think, were just, if once we had that answer, we could share it out, and it made things a whole lot easier. With staff, we polled them on what they wanted to teach. So, go to department meetings. We talked about, hey, we're working on the schedule here. Give me a list of your top 3 choices that you would like to teach next year. We'll try to get one of your top ones. Can't guarantee that, but get that input from them. And that just, as you get input and get buy-in, that definitely helps ease those fears of the new and bringing those people together. We did a lot of team building, leadership type things that just uplifted people. We got our kids and parents in the summer with activities and events that gave out gear and logo stuff, and just bought food and gave them an opportunity to have fun if they wanted to.
Wow. Wow. That was pretty intensive. Well done, because it did pay big dividends, but that was intensive. So I have to say, congratulations. You wrote a book, your first book, Better Together, Building One School, One Culture, One Community from Two Rivals. So what was the motivation behind writing the book?
I think it was something, as leaders, we're always going through some kind of change initiative. There's always something that's happening. And this book isn't solely that you have to be going through a consolidation. It could be any type of change that you're going through. And kind of the arc of it is to tell the story of the why with the consolidation quickly of the time, and how the vote happened on the first day of school out of COVID. So it's kind of a culture shock as you come out of that you're going to lose your high school in a couple years, and how you pick up the pieces and move forward and actually do it the right way, and go into it open armed, and know that we can be better together once we get there. But you also have to allow the process to play out. And then
Yes.
the second part is just kind of what we did on the forefront with people first, how we worked with staff, students, and our community to kind of build the plane and make sure that people knew as they came in day one, this was going to be the Alleghany Cougars. It's going to be different, and we're going to value the things that we've done, but also create our new future. And the third part is I wanted to be kind of a playbook that a leader could pick up, and there's some systems and programs that we have in place that they could take, borrow, adjust, and implement. It's just ways to recognize, acknowledge, and extend the good things that are happening in our building, but ways to uplift kids and your staff members, and then just kind of a summary of we're better together when we share, when we go out and we do podcasts and things like this and present. And that was the hope, just to give an opportunity. It's a good, quick, easy read. You can read it from start to finish. You can jump in and look at a system. So that's kind of the hope there.
Let me ask you, Derek, by the way, where can we find the book?
It is on Amazon. If you search Better Together, and I'll try to send you the link if you want to attach on
Absolutely.
that, and search my name, Better Together, Derek Cantrell, you can get it there.
Wonderful, wonderful. And so, what I'm loving about this is that I'm hearing that some of the things that you have established, the practices that you have established, they don't seem to be very expensive or costly. It may cost a little time and some
Right.
effort, but getting people together and saying people first, and town meetings and surveys, and keeping your finger on the pulse of the people and what their needs are, that doesn't require tons of money that so many schools say they don't have in their budget.
No, yeah, there's so many simple things you can do, and in a lot of it's just being available to listen and show people that you take their thoughts and ideas and listen to them and try to implement. You can't do everything, obviously, but when you value people and you listen, I think that goes a long way. And I know some of the little cool things that we've done with recognition programs of just uplifting people. They don't cost a lot. We had one this year that we started that's been super impactful and fun. We've always recognized kids with like shout outs and different things. And one of our teachers came to me and mentioned something along the lines that they've done before, and it was a breakfast of champions type program. So we call it the Cougar Champions Breakfast, and teachers are allowed to nominate a kid, and it's kind of that kid for outstanding character, leadership, effort, just the kids that do the right thing day in and day out. And um, they nominate a kid. We pick 4 or 5 each month, and what we do is we send a letter home that we're going to have this event on this day. You've been recognized by this person for just kind of a short snippet of why. And then we call home and invite the parent. We have a breakfast. It's 8 o'clock in the morning. It takes about 15 minutes. And our teachers come, they read why they nominated that student in front of the kid and their parent, buy some biscuits and have some orange juice. So about $50 there a month. But the impact of having that teacher do that, having the parent there, and just the smile that it puts on my face and everybody's as we uplift the people that do the right thing on a daily basis. And we finish that, you get 10 more nominations, and it's just awesome to see the confidence it just builds in kids and parents, and it reinforces what matters, and it really uplifts you walk a little higher that day as you go out in your building for sure with that. So that's been a really fun one that we've put in this year, and definitely seen some value from that.
Wow, that's exciting. I love that. I love that. And it just builds the morale. The morale is just so high when you get that recognition. That's really important. So specifically, what have you done? What role do parents play in creating this healthy culture? Well, how have you targeted them specifically?
On the forefront, we did a bunch of parent advisories, we did surveys, we do a lot of things with social media. In the high school, as
Mhm.
you get further along, it gets a little tougher to get people in, but you have events and activities that we're always at, that you can talk to parents, and you're available at the sporting events, the band concert, and those things. So I always think that sometimes you get a lot more out of the informal conversations where people know that you're approachable and they can talk to you and ask you a question. And I think that's gone a long ways. That one of our admin team is pretty much it's everything. So that's kind of been our outreach and making sure that we continue to post the things on social media, get feedback in that way as well.
Have you noticed since starting at the high school that parent participation is up to a degree?
Yeah, I mean, I think that when you go to events and there are activities, when
Mm.
we do, our breakfast of champions, I mean, our parents have shown up. We've had everybody show up to each one of them. When we've had our recognitions for our Cougar distinguished scholars and our events, I mean, it's cool to see the people that show up to the things when we're highlighting their kids and uplifting that. And I think that's definitely been a cool thing to get people in the building.
How do you get staff, I mean, even the janitor,
Mhm.
involved in this process of change?
I think it was important going through the consolidation piece to just we did a lot of meetings early, and it could be a department, just talking to the math teachers, talking to your paraprofessionals.
Mm.
Our division did some cool events early. There were mingle sessions. This was before we even knew what position we were going to be in, and just got people together to have lunch, do some team building things. And then as it got closer and we started knowing roles, we went to Alleghany High School and we did, say, like a scavenger hunt, and then had times to talk as a department. And same thing at Covington, and little things like where outlets are, how copiers work, and answer some of those things, because people were moving their entire room and everything in a building they've worked at for 25 years somewhere else. So we did a lot of work there on the forefront of that. And one thing we did the year before is we did twice a month, we sent out kind of update memos, that just simple things like, hey, we're working on hiring fall coaches. We're doing X, Y, and Z with the building. We just ordered this. The maintenance projects of painting the lockers are at this stage, and just
Mm.
trying to keep staff and everybody on board of what we're doing, where we're at in the process, and those little things I think mattered. We got schedules out to families and students the first year in June. We typically did that on back to school week, so we were 2 months ahead. And the reason was that to get all those conflicts done throughout the summer with the schedules and get them fixed. So day one was just day one of school, and not, oh my goodness, my schedule's wrong. So we tried to take some of those concerns out of the way as well. And that was something that came from talking to kids and parents, and we implemented from some of those conversations as well.
Did you bring in any outside organizations to do PDs and helping with change, or did it stay
Uh,
pretty much in-house?
That's pretty much in house within the process. I can't think of anybody specific that was a part of kind of the culture, the change, the leading. That was just kind of our focus as our team throughout that part.
And Derek, my concern too, oftentimes, sometimes the higher you climb in leadership, the more isolated you can be. So how did keep yourself and those VP and those around you, the upper management, how did you keep resilient? How did you keep yourselves motivated? How did you keep yourself strong in it was a huge project.
Now, the crazy part is the last year at Covington High School. I like to, it was, you had to honor, this was the last year of our high school. So you're trying to get through all those things. It's the last time we do a capping ceremony. It's the last graduation, and give that the responsibility that it needs and deserves, while also planning for the future at that time. And at that time, crazy. It was a small high school, about 350 kids, 8 through 12, but we had somebody who was on out for a situation, not a situation, but just working on something. So I was helping do the athletic director role. Our bookkeeper left the year before, so filling in with that, helping with consolidation. So once we got into the high school year, it was kind of like, whoo, just have one hat to wear to a point. So that was unique, but it was definitely a lot of fun. Definitely, a huge responsibility, but definitely excited for that opportunity from being a student in Alleghany and a principal at Covington, being from both sides of the community, I think that you feel that responsibility with that to cherish as much as you can and really value the traditions and pride from both school communities. So I have a great team of administrators that helps so much. That just are outstanding people, and they go above and beyond to do the things the right way and value people. We all feel that way. We try to be as visible as possible throughout the day, talking to kids and talking to our staff members. Um, I just finished a little bit ago doing my podcast, but it's just a school based one where I talk to kids and teachers just why they enjoy being a student or a staff member here at our school, and who's their favorite staff member and why, or who got them into education, and just the things that you can do to recognize, acknowledge, and extend the good things that are happening in your building. The more you do that, and the more you hear those things, the higher you can go.
Wow. Yes, absolutely. So I want to get back. I'm a geek about systems.
Okay.
Because I know that systems creates regularity, something
Yeah.
that you can depend on is a practice that's going to get you the results that you're looking for. So I just want to know, additionally, like what's some systems, what do you do every Wednesday or maybe every Thursday, once a month, or 3 times a week, or that is that is conducive to the kind of culture you're trying to establish uh, at at the high school. So um, we'll
Yeah,
start there.
there's a lot of things definitely that can get you that help. One thing that we've done a little different this year is we continue to have some things with attendance in high school and trying to get chronic absenteeism at a better space. So that's kind of been one of our focuses over the summer. So we implemented a Cougar Code program this year, and it was as a system that's basically a good standing system. So it's tied to your attendance, your tardies, your discipline. Everybody starts in Cougar Code. Once you hit a certain level with tardies or absences, you would go out of Cougar Code. But I'm a big person. There's got to be a way back in quickly, so
Mm,
that if kids are doing their way to recover those tardies or absences or discipline, that they would still get to be involved in the activities, the clubs, the different things that we're doing. So if a student would go out of Cougar Code, they have like a kind of a way back in. As long as they're working towards recovery, they're an active member in that. And then once they get back below the tardy level, the attendance level, they're a full member back in that. What we've done in December, we did a coffee bar for everybody that was in Cougar Code for the whole semester.
wow.
Kids could come at lunchtime and they got coffee or hot chocolate. In the spring, we've had a group that's going to come in and do different ices and popcorn. And then we'll probably have kind of a big spirit day at the end of the year if you made it the whole year with that. So just trying to incentivize the coming to school and doing the things the right way. And that's we're down, I think, Charity Hale, our assistant principal, was ahead of attendance. We're down about 13% on our attendance rate this
Wow.
year. So seeing we even had kids early, which is wild, that we had a kid come, a couple of them come and be like, Mr. Cantrell, I think I'm over my tardy limit. Can I start getting some of them and recover them back? And I mean, as a principal, it's like, whoa, man, I've never seen somebody take ownership and come kind of self-report themselves to start earning their time back with
That's
that.
fabulous.
Yeah, so that's been knocked out of the park. It's went really well. I mean, there's obviously some things we'll kind of tweak and adjust. We bought staff t-shirts, Cougar Code all in every day that they wear throughout the year, and we try to do little fun things throughout for kids that stay in it and do that. So that's been a lot of fun. We do daily messages each day and focus on attendance, responsibility, school spirit, momentum, something simple at the beginning and the end of the day. Like, one of them would be take ownership of your progress, check your grades, ask questions, stay on top of your work. Your effort drives results. And our kids read that in the morning and the afternoon, and kind of just, say those things that we wanted to hear them say on a daily basis with announcements and that's kind of been a couple new things that we've done. One thing academically is a system that I think's had a huge impact. Uh, when we started, we were noticing we were having Virginia uses SOLs for standardized tests for graduation purposes. We were noticing their senior year that kids, we didn't have as many kids that were fully complete as we wanted, because most of them should be done with all their SOLs by the time they become a 12th grader, because the last test is reading and writing in 11th grade. So we implemented a Cougar Scholars Club and kind of invested in kids for doing knocking it out the park and getting it done ahead of time. And kind of the pitch was, we want you, when you start your senior year and you're sitting here at this preschool meeting, you should have all your SOLs, all your graduation requirements done.
Yeah.
So after their freshman year, we go through in the summer, and if they passed all their standardized tests, and most freshmen take one or two, so if they've passed those, they would get a T-shirt, a Cougar Scholars T-shirt to start their sophomore year. After their sophomore year, they would get an athletic pass to all home games. So that gets them into our games, into our events, and creates that pride and culture piece. And then the seniors get a parking pass and an athletic pass, so they get their parking pass too. So we're kind of investing in kids to help us be successful, and they can go in or out. So if I missed it my freshman year and I get it by the time I'm a upcoming senior,
Yeah.
they would get the T-shirt, they would get all that. And if we have a student that earned a verified credit that's a special ed student or has a 504, since that counts for graduation, we count that for them in that part as well, because that's our ultimate goal, to knock the graduation piece out of the park. And from year one to year two, we had about an 11% growth improvement. We're about 800 kids, so we went up 31. So that's pretty impactful that joined the club within that. So it's
Wow.
really, I mean, the only thing I would tell people on that is make sure you talk to your bookkeeper, because you're giving away some athletic passes and parking passes, but the impact is pretty cool that, you're getting your kids to games to support your students. You're a $25 parking pass for a kid getting where you want to be. It's not that big of a deal in the grand scheme of things. And, they really, now that they know what we're doing, take some ownership in, hey, I want to get that free parking pass and athletic pass to come to those events and activities.
There's just so many things that you said there that I could pull out. I love the fact that what I think principals and leaders need to understand when they're working in an organization is that your organization is always breathing, it's changing, it morphs, it never stays the same. And that, again, you have to have your finger on the pulse of what's needed in the organization now. To me, that kind of means that's how you're going to tweak your culture, knowing
Mhm.
what the needs are. And I hear that's exactly what you did this year, and that you're always on the lookout for that. And so that's a piece that I think principals need to understand. It's not a one and done. We have culture, but that it's always growing. It's a growing entity. Students come, students go, teachers come, teachers go. New issues pop up, old issues go away. So I think that's really, really important what you just said there. And thank you for those wonderful examples. So with and this more explicitly, could you just highlight for me what are the few values that Alleghany, what do they live by? What are your operating values? This is what we're about in a nutshell.
I mean, I really think that at the core, we're about people, and we want to put people and kids and teachers and staff first, because when we build relationships and we start there, the academics and things will come. I was telling a story there with what I do with the podcast and talk to kids about why they like being a student in our school, and to hear them is like it's a community. People are kind. I can go talk to my teacher. They will help me out. I mean, the more you hear those things, it definitely uplifts you as a person, and know that we're doing things the right way when kids say that staff members are kind and they feel respected here, and they know they have someone they can talk to. And that's what I tell folks, that when we hear those things, that's what we want to hear. You don't want to hear, I just come to do this or I come to do that. You want that environment to be that community that they know we believe in them. We want them to be successful. We're here to help them. And, we really feel that we're better together. That's kind of something
Yes.
that
Yes.
we've kind of hung on to from the get go, that we felt that bringing our resources and our people, that we would truly be better together for kids by offering them more opportunities, giving ourselves a chance to be fully staffed, to have departments where they could work together and ask questions and just build those relationships as well. And our staff, you couldn't tell that we came from different places and different buildings. I mean, you
Mhm.
wouldn't be able to have a clue walking in here at this point, and even probably a month into school, you wouldn't have known. I like to tell the story about 2 weeks into school. I was walking looking for a staff member on our second floor to ask a question, and our whole hallway, science, math teachers, special ed teachers, eat lunch in the same classroom and just take that half an hour to talk and do that, and they still do it to this day.
Wow.
And if there's somebody's birthday or baby shower, they do something, they'll invite our principals up if they have a food or something to do something special. So I mean, it's just super cool to see the relationships and the thing. And that wasn't something that we forced or pushed or did. It just happened organically and naturally. And and it's cool to see that in practice. But we truly feel people, relationships will take you where you need to be.
Mhm.
And I think that, I heard something not long ago that schools and businesses that put people and relationships first are much more successful in the long run than people that just worry about the bottom line and results, because their people will leave and go find other jobs and things. And we want people that want to be here. And I always tell our teachers, you're the best recruiter we can have. If you know somebody that would fit in and wants to be a part of something, let me know. That's the way you can pull those folks in that are strong, that fit what we're trying to do. So I think that sums it up pretty well, I guess.
Yes, yes, it does. Yes, it does. So especially in the beginning, I'm sure there were some challenges or specific threats to you to establishing or trying to establish new protocols, new practices, and new ways of thinking, merging together. Because I want principals to get a real deal, especially new ones,
Right.
idea about what this does entail. How did you handle some of the challenges that people brought to you? If you can even give us an example and how you overcame that challenge, that would be very helpful.
Yeah, I think one that sticks out that probably wasn't something that, I mean, not everybody would have been happy about to start off, but I think they could see the why. And I think you try to go to the why. If you can explain the why we're doing something,
Mhm.
even if they don't agree, they'll understand. So with consolidation, there's so much unknown. You don't know how are people going to get along. There are going to be situations that arise throughout the day just because you're bringing two different school cultures in together. So one thing we tried to do the first year was be super proactive about being visible. So we, as part of duty for staff, is they had a hallway duty during part of their planning, that they were out in the hall that during the class. I mean, they could do their grading, their stuff there, but just to be visible, to say hi, hey, how are you doing, but also, limit possible issues that could occur. And, we definitely saw a decrease even from the previous year before we consolidated on certain things that happened throughout the day. And so I think that really helped us be visible, be proactive, and, help limit issues and problems that could arise. But now, year three, we don't do that. We've pulled that completely back, but we started a little bit, more aggressive with being proactive because I think it's a whole lot easier to step back as you go and making sure that we're out there and doing the best that we can with monitoring. So we had that in Smart Pass that we use, and it's definitely helped with safety. The people in the hall could check who's out, and if we had an issue or something with a lockdown, we knew where people were. We were monitoring, but that's something that not everybody saw the reason why, and tried to explain it. Hey, we're doing something totally new. We're bringing together two school communities, two rivals. We're going to try to build those relationships, but also be proactive to limit problems and issues to the best of our ability. And like I said, as we went further along, we've pulled that back because we don't need that. But I think that's a good example.
So you're saying that that some of the resistance was addressed through visibility of teachers and making, again, connecting and things of that nature.
That was the hope, and there really weren't issues. So, but you don't know. So, it was trying to use that proactive approach,
Uh-huh.
just to be visible, because visibility definitely limits issues. The more that you're about and throughout the building and people see you, that deters. I mean, you don't know what's going to happen day one of bringing people together. You hope the relationship building and those things help bring that peace, and I think it did excellent with that, because we got kids together for sports throughout the spring and summer. And I always say, I give a hat tip to our coaches that bringing the kids together throughout the summer for football, volleyball, cross country, band, and choir. Those relationships and that success kick-started the success of our school year. I mean, I think we went 9-1 in football. Our volleyball team went to the state tournament. So that really helped with those relationships. And you really couldn't tell a difference of us versus them. And we were super intentional about not using that language as well, because
Yes.
we were the Alleghany Cougars. But, we tried to be proactive with visibility from all avenues, especially year one. And I do think it helped as well. But, we've definitely went down each year, and some of the things that we're doing with discipline, office referrals, and those different things as well. So definitely seeing benefits from the things we're doing.
So one thing that I feel is really, really important, and you're alluding to it by saying, we build a relationship, we're better together, things of that nature, is I call it building a culture of humanity. Basically,
Yeah.
we understand human design, and we're building a culture, a school environment in alignment with that.
Mhm.
So as this has settled and become now the practice of the high school, what kind of do you see it improving instruction? Do you see it reducing stress for educators and for students? Is it helping in the development of students? And do you have any data in regards to that?
Yeah, I think we're definitely moving the needle, and you start with the people part first, and then you hope as you go forward, you limit the issues, you increase the academic part. We were fully accredited this year, which is a good thing. With that, we were close to the distinguished school in the new model. We still have some room to go with science. We're working on that and doing some PLC meetings and working through that part of it. But I think our staff, one cool thing is some of our departments want to do book studies to continue to learn and grow as a group. And we've done that through some of our department meetings and things there. I've tried to really do some things with AI that can help them with data that I can run through, but also ways to up their rigor with their instruction. And even one of our teachers, we worked on something that took assessments and would analyze the depth of knowledge for each question on their assessment. So, and then we tried to make sure that we asked more DOK 3 and 4 instead of making everything some of those ones and twos that you see. So, what we saw from that, I mean, his scores this fall went up about 25 to 30% um, on that. So we were super impressed and with that. And he said he felt like, kids did really well with that. So it's kind of like an assessment analyzer that
Mhm.
looks, at depth of knowledge and alignment to the SOL and the standard. So we're making sure that questions are aligned and at the right depth of knowledge, but also giving some practice problems that are above what they're asking. So that's been something cool with AI we've done. We try to encourage, if you utilize for lesson planning, to look at rigor as well from your alignment piece. Are we aligned? Are we putting out activities that are engaging, that have discourse that kids can talk about and do and understand? So I think there's a lot of things AI wise that can really move the needle. Things I do with it, I think, that help teachers is I can take, as soon as you finish an SOL test, and do the detail by question reports and break down how many times a certain topic strand was asked, how many times we got it right, what the percent overall was, and give you strengths and weaknesses so that you can go back and address and do that. And I mean, I could have the results and do it in about a half an hour. So that's pretty cool. That's something that would take you weeks and months in the past to look through that and disaggregate it. And same thing with benchmarks and check progress with that. So doing a lot of neat things, I think, with AI to just help alleviate that stress in that part. But our staff does such a good job of working together, asking questions, and I think AI has helped us as well with giving some time back to them to focus on themselves, because that's important to get home, enjoy yourself, go for a walk, enjoy your kids' ball game, and those things. And we're super supportive of that. If somebody came and, hey, my son plays, hey, we'll figure out a way to cover you. You go.
I love that. AI is a game changer. And this could be a podcast unto itself. I have to bring you back there to talk more about AI and the possibilities
Yeah,
in,
yeah.
in using that in educating our kids and kind of relieving some of the extra burdens that teachers are dealing with. So we're getting towards the end. I want to ask you about one nationwide, there's a teacher shortage. So what part do you think culture plays in this shortage?
Yeah, I think you want to create a place where people want to be.
Hmm.
And when people feel valued and respected, and that they're a part of at the table for decisions. I mean, I always think in a high school, me to go out and think that I'm not the expert going into a calculus class or, to an English 12. I mean, the folks in the building are the experts. So we utilize their opinion and what they believe when we make decisions that affect them. So I think that, they know as we go throughout the process that we're going to sit down, we're going to have discussions about what we're doing. We're kind of going through that schedule piece now. We're trying to bat some ideas around that. They're upping cut scores or upping scores of our standardized test, and they're going to phase it in to where 400 was passing on a reading test. In a couple of years, it's going to be 485. So drastic increases in things. So we're trying to figure out some ways to think and get ahead of what we're doing. We're going to try to run. We're on a block schedule, 4x4. Think with our son, we're trying to get more of our testing next year to the spring, so we don't have as much in the winter. We've been getting interrupted with winter testing, so I think we're going to try to run some skinnies in science and earth science and biology, so they'll have that 48-minute class that's all year long and matched up with an elective. And then our math, we're going to do algebra part one, part two. But this is just, an example of conversations with teachers and things of how can we set ourselves up for success instead of waiting to see what happens later, and utilizing those opinions. But like I said earlier, you want to create an environment where I think that they recruit people to come to your school. And if you can do that, and they'll go to bat for that part of it, you're creating a place where they want to be.
Yes,
And, it's kind of, we don't have, people. I think this year, I don't know if we have anybody retiring. I just kind of worked on our part of our recommendation list, and I think we have everybody recommended to come back, and don't think we're losing anyone. I mean, you can get surprised, but it's definitely been good on the retention piece. Where we had a couple special ed teachers retire a few years ago, or the last year actually, and have had a hard time bringing new people in. But the ones we've had, we've done a good job keeping. And I know we have some others that want to be a part of what we're doing, and I think that culture piece and those things play huge, because
yes,
you want to be somewhere you feel that you can talk to your leadership people, that they're available, and that they value your people. So we try to do that on a daily basis.
yes. That is the bottom line. What kind of culture are you creating? Do they, that attracts people and keeps people?
Right.
Absolutely. So, do you have any last thoughts or ideas that you'd like to share with us as we begin to wind down?
I think, if you're doing something, go out, share what you're doing. I think it's so important in our profession that it took me a long time to get to the point where, hey, I'm gonna go and share and talk and do. I did a podcast there in February, I guess last year, the Proud Principal podcast with Tony Catani, who then became national second high school principal of the year. And so he kind of encouraged, go out, present, do podcasts and those things, because the consolidation piece is good for people to hear, just for change and in any type of leadership position. So, I encourage anybody that's doing something to share what they're doing, because our profession needs that. We
Yes.
need to hear the great things that people are doing, because it makes us all better. You can take, borrow, steal, and implement the things that people are doing on a daily basis, and it just kind of moves that needle for you and our people. But I highly encourage people to do that. Put people first. When you do that, man, good things follow. And you can't go wrong by valuing people and relationships, because people will go to bat for you. They'll step up in hard times. We had it's a funny story real quick, but we had a flood on our second floor. And normally you don't have floods that start up top. So we had a pipe bust in a closet that was, I guess, old, and of course during school, so we had to figure out a way to get kids out of the second floor, out of the first floor, and home. But to see the people that just jump in, kids, staff members. I mean, we had people going and getting towels. We had kids pushing squeegees that stayed even after we dismissed school, that stayed. But then we came and we will recognize them with the Breakfast of Champions. We gave them shirts and just thank them for their content. And some of them would be kids you wouldn't think that would stay and do that. So that's what's awesome to see.
It surely is. It surely is. It's always a joy to speak to you and to learn principles. Absolutely. And you're so generous with sharing principles that is moving your school towards success. And thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing. I really do appreciate that. And again, tell us the name of your book. Tell us again where you can find it, because principals out there are going to run, right, everyone, to go get their book now.
Yeah. Hopefully we, and like I said, not trying to do a whole lot with selling something there, but the hope is that it can help somebody within the process if they're going through any change, and systems to just recognize, acknowledge, and extend the good things that are happening on a daily basis in your building, and that can go such a long ways. And I'll drop that in this chat box there. There's the link to the book.
Absolutely.
So
Thank you. Yes.
definitely any support, and if you have any questions, if anybody does read that, I'm glad to answer those. You can find me on LinkedIn or email me at my school email, and anybody from our team will gladly help if you got a question from any of the systems or programs that we do.
Oh my goodness, this is fabulous. Thanks again. Until next time, everyone. Peace and blessings. Bye-bye for now.
Thank you.